All right, so here is a lesson on inequalities, solving linear inequalities. The steps to solving linear inequalities are the same as solving equations. It's just that we have some things that we have to look out for. First of all, what is an inequality? You have the less than, greater than, hold on. So you have less than symbol, or less than or equal to. And then you have greater than, and then greater than or equal to. I'm not going to go into what all these means. I'm sure you already know in Algebra 1 what these mean. So we're just going to know how to use them for what we need in solving. Okay, so some things that you also have to remember is that for how we graph the solutions, we don't just write the answer x equals, because we don't have the equal sign anymore, we have the inequality sign. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you to do. All right, so we're going to treat the inequality symbol right here, greater than, as we're going to treat it just like it's an equal sign. Okay, so first step here, we're going to go ahead and distribute the 4, because we have some parentheses. We're going to distribute it to x, and the 3. So you have 4 times x is 4x, and then 4 times 3, which is positive 12. Make sure to keep the symbol in between. We're going to bring down the inequality is greater than negative 24. And now we just have a two-step equation here. So you have minus 12 minus 12. So then we have here 4x. This gets crossed out. Is greater than negative 24 minus 11, negative 24 minus 12 is negative 36. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just solve. And then you have x equals, not equals, x is greater than negative 36 divided by 4 will be negative 9. Okay, all right, now that we have our answer, x is greater than negative 9, we're going to go ahead and graph our answer. What I like to do is just put the number that I have, which is at negative 9. Okay, x is greater than, so I know I'm going to shade it to the right. We need to put the arrow, and then also, because it's not equal to, it's just greater than, we are going to use an open circle. So open circle at that number, and at the end, the solution is any number greater than negative 9, but not including 9. Okay, that's what that answer means. So, and then for interval notation, just basically just means you start with, since it's greater than, it's going from negative 9 to positive infinity, because it's going off to positive infinity here. And also a negative 9 is going to have an open circle, so we're going to use a parentheses, and infinity is always open. Okay, it'll make more sense once we start doing more examples. Oh yeah, and then we're always going to use an open for, let me write the word open here, for infinity. It's not going to be a closed. Closed means you have a bracket, and closed comes from greater than or equal to, or a closed circle. All right, so let's just keep going, and then hopefully we'll get it all situated here. So you have here negative 3 gets distributed. So I'm going to bring down the x. I didn't use the x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6, is greater than 4. Combine my like terms. That, remember that there's a 1 here, so you have 1 minus 3, which is negative 2x. And then bring down the negative 6 is greater than 4. And then now we just have a two-step equation. So I'm going to just keep continuing solving this. I'm going to add 6 on both sides. And then you have negative 2. I'm going to go ahead and write it up here just because I don't have enough space here. So you have negative 2x. Remember, the negative 2 came from combining these two terms. So you have 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And then we are going to that gets crossed out. So you have greater than 4 plus 6 is 10. Okay, so now we know that to get x by itself, we need to get rid of the negative 2, which I'm going to divide it out. Divide by negative 2. So here is where you have to be a little careful because I divided by a negative number. So anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to change the sign. You have to switch the sign here. Okay, you have to switch the sign because I'm dividing by a negative number. Keep that in your mind. And then to just continue doing the operation. So 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. Okay, so even though my original problem has x, sorry, I have greater than, because as I work through the problem, I'm dividing by a negative. Whenever you're dividing by a negative, you have to switch the sign. Divide by negative, so switch the sign. You have to change the sign. All right, so let's go ahead and graph our answer. So you have x is less than negative 5. I'll just put negative 5 here. I'm going to use an open circle because it doesn't have an equal to symbol. And then we're going to go shade it to the left. So when we're writing an interval notation, we have to be a little careful here because it's starting from negative infinity and it's going up to negative 5. I'm going to write negative infinity first, and then you're going to write negative 5. Remember, infinity is always open, and then 5, since it's not equal to, it's just less than, it's also going to be open, which means that negative 5 is not included in our solution set. There's a lot more meaning to it here. I will talk about that in a little bit, like what these answers mean. But for now, I just want to make sure we understand how to solve. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. Well, I have some parentheses here, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute the negative 2. Remember when you're using the distributive property, just make sure to keep the sign. So this is actually going to be negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. And then be careful here, negative 2 times negative 4, that is going to be positive 8. That got rid of my parentheses. So negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. We'll go ahead and bring down the less than or equal to symbol, inequality symbol, and then bring down the negative 2. Combine the like terms. 7 minus 2 is 5. Yeah, I know that, 5x. Bring everything down. Okay, so 7, this one is 7 minus 2 is 5. And then we will continue to solve. So minus 8 on both sides. And then you have 5x is less than or equal to negative 2 minus 8. That's going to be negative 10. Negative 2 minus 8 is going to be negative 10. Okay. And then I'm just going to move this up here. So I'm just rewriting it just because I just want some space. So here we're going to divide by 5 on both sides to get x by itself. And I'm not dividing by a negative. So I'm not dividing by a negative. This is negative, but whatever I'm dividing by is not negative. So that doesn't matter. I don't have to change the sign. So you have negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. So that's my solution. My solution, I want to make it clear, the solution is not just negative 2. It's any number that's less than or equal to negative 2, including the negative 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put negative 2 here. Here, because it has the equal to symbol, I'll go ahead and close the circle. And then I'm going to shade it to the left because it's less than, x is less than. And then it's going off to negative infinity. So when I'm writing it in interval notation, it starts at negative infinity. So any number between negative infinity and negative 2, infinity is always open. But remember, negative 2 is included because it has the equal to symbol. So it's going to be closed right there. It's going to be a closed symbol. Okay. Right, couple more problems, and then I will show you some things in Desmos that might be a little helpful for us, okay? So I have parentheses. I need to get rid of the parentheses by distributing, so that's going to be negative 8 times x, which is negative 8x, and then negative 8 times negative 1, that's positive 8. Bring down the negative x, bring everything down. Combine my like terms, so I have negative 8 minus, remember there's a 1 there, so that's negative 8 minus 1 is negative 9x. Again, I got the negative 9 because I put negative 8 and negative 1 together, which is negative 9. And then bring down the 8, less than or equal to negative 28. And then just keep solving. Subtract 8 on both sides, subtract 8 on both sides. That gets crossed out, so you have negative 9x that's less than or equal to negative 28 minus 8 is negative 36. Okay, so this is where we are. I'm just rewriting it. Negative 9x is less than or equal to negative 36. And now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9, divide both sides by negative 9, and then you have x is greater than or equal to, because I'm dividing by negative number, I need to switch the sign. And then what is that? Negative 36 divided by negative 9 is going to be positive 4. And that's my answer, positive 4. All right, so x is greater than 4, so I'm going to go ahead and not negative 4, positive 4. So I'm going to do a closed circle here, and then it's greater than, so it's going off to the right. It's going off to positive infinity. So when I'm writing it in interval notation, I pick the two numbers that it's in between 4 and positive infinity. 4 is included, so I'm going to put a closed bracket, and infinity is always open. All right, last example here. So you have variables on both sides of the equal sign. So what I need to do is I need to first move the variable from the right side to the left side. Now this is very important, especially with inequalities. We want to make sure that the variables is always on the left, because it helps us when we graph, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and add 2x on both sides, bring my variable over to the left side. So 6 plus 2 is 8x. Bring down the 1, bring down the less than, 9, this gets crossed out. And then this is just a two-step equation, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 on both sides. So you have 8x is less than 8, divide by 8 on both sides, divide by 8, and then you have x is less than 1. I didn't have to change the sign. So 1, x is just less than, so open circle, going off to the left, going off to negative infinity. So when I'm writing it in interval notation, I like to write the two numbers first, so negative infinity to 1. Infinity is open, and since 1 does not have the equal to symbol, yep, it's only less than, it's going to have an open symbol as well. Now, I do want to show you something very important in Desmos, okay? So in Desmos, how you can check your answers, because there's a lot of things for these inequalities that you have to pay attention to. So what I want to do is I want to show you how, once you have done everything, and if you just want to double check in Desmos, you can do that. So in Desmos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my original equation, okay, and I'm just going to throw it in Desmos just the way it is. So 4 parentheses x plus 3 is greater than negative 24. And look what Desmos does. It actually graphs the inequality for you. The solution for you is going from negative 9, and it's going off to the right. That looks good. And also, if it's an open circle, it's going to give you a dotted line. If it's a closed circle, for example, like number 3, let me go ahead and do that one. I'm not going to erase it. I'm just going to ungraph it for us. So I'm going to put problem number 3 in Desmos and then show you how that works. 2x minus 2, parentheses x, I'm doing this one right here. Okay. X minus 4 is less than or equal to, you can find the symbol here. I like to just type it in. It's easier for me. Negative 2. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Yep, remember on this one, yeah, we didn't have to change the sign or anything, no. So there you go. It's going off from negative 2, it's going off to the left here to negative infinity. And you notice that it's a dotted line, whereas this other one gave us a solid line. The other one gave us a dotted line. Okay, so those are some ways that you can check in Desmos. Now there's a lot of problems on the next page. You can work through it. I have the answer key on Schoology, or you can use Desmos to graph it. So you know what, actually, let me go ahead and maybe I'm going to avoid everything. I'm just going to go ahead and graph it in Desmos, see if Desmos gives me my answer, which it will. Minus 1 is less than or equal to 5x plus 20. There you go. So if I'm using Desmos to answer this, I see that it's from negative 7. So that's what I'm going to write on my answer. Negative 7. It's a solid line, so which means that it's going to be closed circle. And then it's going off to the right. So I'm going to go off to positive infinity. So in interval notation, I know it's from negative 7 to positive infinity. Negative 7 has a closed bracket because it has an equal to symbol is included, and then this is an open circle. Okay, guys, so I'll go ahead and stop here. Yeah, as they get more complicated, I encourage you guys to do it in Desmos. Like, for example, number 10, super complicated. You can definitely try it by hand. On the answer key that I have in Schoology, I definitely went through all the steps, so you can look at it. But I'm just going to do it in Desmos a second. What am I typing? So it looks like, just make sure that you did everything right. Negative 3 parentheses 3x plus 3 minus 2 is greater than negative 4, x minus 2 minus 2, negative 9. Okay, so let me translate that answer that Desmos did for me and then put it on here. So this goes from negative 9. It says open circle because it's not equal to. And it's going off to the left, it's going off to negative infinity. So it goes from negative infinity until negative 9. It is an open circle and infinity is always open. All right, guys, thanks for watching.